How many H2s should you use for entity variance on a location page? The comment was, first of all, thank you for this video about location pages. It changed my view on the kind of content that they should include. And it really makes sense in your opinion. If the URL is the first touch point, what's the best structure for it? Using that same example. I don't know what the example is there, but I think the question here was, if I remember the question, how many H2s you use for entity variance on a location page? It doesn't matter. What matters is use the appropriate number of H2s to convey the concept of what you wanted that article or that page to convey. Like, do you understand? Whatever it is that you were trying to accomplish with the content of that page, that determines the number of H2s that you use. You see what I'm saying? Don't use more just because. Gone are the days, guys, where what did we all do as SEOs, right? What was pretty much the universal answer for trying to improve results for Google search, right? Throw more words on the page. That's what, isn't that right? Like that's what we did for years, guys, was we would use tools like Surfer SEO or any number of them, pick them, there are a dime a dozen now, that would go scrape the top 10 or top 20 results ranking for a particular keyword. It would average out all the data from those ranking pages. And it would tell you, meet and exceed what these are doing, and you'll rank. And so it was basically the simple answer that all these tools told us to do was throw more words on the page. Not just any words, the words that we tell you should throw on the page, but just put more words on the page and it will outrank the others. And did it work? Sometimes maybe, but not all the time, right? And so now those days are gone. We don't need to do that anymore. In fact, throwing more words on the page, more H2s, just for the sake of trying to hammer Google over the head with the phrases that you want Google to associate that page with, Google actually frowns on that stuff now, right? Now, because it's looking for efficiency. What is this page about, and how can Google determine that in the least amount of resource usage with the least amount of resource usage? And so the main optimization elements is how Google does that. It's like a shortcut. It's a cheat code for Google to be able to determine what the page is about without having to crawl and analyze all of the content on the page. As far as local, like I said, it may be really competitive industries, it's different, but in local, where it makes sense to have really thoroughly optimized content is for service pages, product or service pages. But the location pages should really be about, who is this brand? How do I contact them or request that they contact me? What services are available at this location? That's it, right? That's all that really needs to be on the location page if you have the site structured properly. And so it's not the number of H2s that matters. It's, are you conveying through the main optimization elements of this page precisely what you want, both Google and now in a broader sense, language models, as well as, more importantly, humans, like the actual visitor, those that are going to potentially execute the conversion goal that you want them to take, whatever that may be. That's who you're really optimizing for, right? Yes, we want the machines to serve our content or to put our content in front of those that are interested or likely interested in those products or services. So yes, we have to trigger the algorithm. Content Maximum is really good for that. But then the content that is on the page should be to convert the visitor into whatever action you want them to take. That's where it determines how many H2s you should have, if that's clear. So as far as the URL, remember the URL is the first touch point for anything, guys. Google crawls the web through links. Well, guess what? So does language models. So links are incredibly important. It's the first touch point. How does Google or any language model find a page to ingest or to crawl? Through the URL. So the URL is the first touch point, which is why I always recommend not over optimizing the URL. I still see a lot of that in the SEO industry. It's not as much as it used to be, but I still see a lot of that. So I always like to de-optimize the URL to where it's just the bare essence of what it's leading to. Do you understand? The URL should give a clue as to what it's leading to, but it doesn't have to have keyword stuffed URL. It can just be like the top level entity that it's, that you're linking to. And that to me is good enough, because I want to focus my optimization efforts on the other main optimization elements where I have kind of more control about it has more influence on what I want Google to understand about the page, right? And so I don't want to use that first touch point where if you have a extremely over optimized URL, which is, again, I still see quite a bit of, then it's almost like the Google bot. I don't know how language models see that, but the Google bot looks at the rest of the page through a tainted lens of over optimization, if that makes sense, right? So you can over optimize very easily if you have over optimized URLs, meaning you can over optimize the rest of the page because the first touch point was already super optimized, if that's clear. All right.